to introduce both Kristi, Carley, and Chris Sommerich from Humanities Nebraska. My name is Alicia Shoemaker. I'm president of the Malika Foundation, and I'm here with Stephanie Call and Lindsay Brownfield, who are also on the executive team of the Malika Foundation, and represent Nebly, as I'm sure you've seen in a lot of the advertising. Before we begin with our program today, I would first like to introduce both Kristi and Chris. So Kristi Hayek is a fifth generation Nebraskan, and she has been part of the Humanities Nebraska staff since October 2009. She grew up on a farm south of Friend, Nebraska, and she's a graduate of Concordia University with a bachelor's degree in education and an emphasis in secondary education in the social sciences, which is perfect for today's presentation. We're so excited about that connection. Before joining Humanities Nebraska, Kristi served as a deputy legislative assistant in U.S. Senator Ben Nelson's Washington, D.C. office, and as a high school social studies teacher at Concordia Lutheran High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Kristi and her husband, Matt, live in Seward with their sons, Caleb and Asher. And besides her interests and activities related to the humanities, Kristi enjoys playing and watching a number of sports, music, traveling, helping at her son's school with various activities, and spending time at the family farm. So welcome, Kristi.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you. I would also like to introduce Chris, who I know is going to have a brief but very important part in today's presentation as well. Chris Sommerich is the Executive Director of Humanities Nebraska, a statewide nonprofit that helps people explore what connects us and makes us human. Chris first joined the Humanities Nebraska staff as Development Officer in 2004, became Development Director in 2007, and then became Executive Director in 2011. He has a bachelor's and master's degrees in political science from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and has achieved a certified fundraising executive certification in 2007. This emphasizes the highest standard of ethical and professional conduct in fundraising. And Chris currently serves on numerous boards and is very dedicated to supporting his local community with a multitude of organizations and in varying capacities. And Chris, you'll have to share some of those as well. There was too many even to list for our presentation today. It's amazing what you do. Chris and his wife, Vicki, have two sons, Eli, who's a junior at college at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and Ben, who's a freshman at Nebraska Wesleyan. Go Prairie Wolves. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Kristi and Chris. Thank you again.
Thanks, Alicia. I appreciate it. I'll kick it off and then turn it over to Kristi in a minute. But I should have mentioned, and my wife, Vicki, is a middle school teacher in Lincoln Public Schools. So teachers are just near and dear to my heart all the time anyway. You know, working with people like Kristi who have teaching backgrounds, and, you know, we like teachers about as much as we like librarians. We just, you know, these are great people all over. And, you know, when mentioning Kristi's a fifth generation Nebraskan, it just I'm first generation, but I've lived here 37 years, but I still feel like I'm a new guy in this state. So, you know, I love working around people who go back generations in this state, as well as people who are new to it. So thanks for the opportunity to chat with you all, and you know, just mention a few things about Humanities Nebraska and our work and how it relates to the world of educators in particular. And so I'll just, you know, just brief overview. You know, Humanities Nebraska is a statewide nonprofit organization. We're a partner with the National Endowment for the Humanities. And, you know, we've been around for 49 years now as a state humanities council, doing all kinds of grant making and providing speakers and museum exhibitions and lots of different things all across the state that are meant to do what you expressed in our mission, helping people explore what connects us and makes us human. And in the world of education, is really important to us because we want to reach people of all walks of life, all ages, and whether, you know, young people through senior citizens. And the humanities are a really important part of our lives in general, and people should have access to that at all ages, whether you're in elementary school or a senior center. And so, and we also, I mean, teachers in general at all levels are really kind of important resources for us because of the expertise teachers develop in different areas from K-12 through university level. I just applaud everybody who works in education, and we just love working with people across the state any way we can. I just want to make sure anybody who is interested in for your classroom, having people that in the world of the humanities, have resources in the humanities, meaning history, literature, culture, philosophy, religion, all those things that people argue about, or that are, important in our lives. Check out our website, humanitiesnebraska.org, and we love to send speakers out to visit schools and partner with schools and teachers in different ways. So one thing I've been talking about with different groups lately is about how there's never been a more important time for the humanities in our lives. And I think whether it's in the classroom or at the coffee shop or at the dinner table or at a public forum or whatever, people are anxious about things in the world. It's a complex world. It's a challenging world. We all know there's a lot of polarization in the world right now and a lot of challenges. But the humanities are there to help people look at how have we dealt with things in the past? How do we look at issues from different perspectives and use that information to kind of determine where we want to go going forward? And that's from an individual level, just, reflecting on your own beliefs and your own, what you're interested in, to your community, to being a global citizen, a human being, and so it's broad, but it's really important. And right now, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for people to come together from different perspectives and different points of view and different backgrounds. And so that's what we try to provide in a whole lot of different shapes and forms. So your topic of today about tough discussions in the classroom really resonates with us as an organization, because that's one of the things that we're really all about, is trying to convene difficult conversations and help people feel like it's okay to be a little uncomfortable, maybe talking with people you maybe don't agree with, but also listening and learning and broadening your horizons a little bit, and just walk away from it. Whatever you choose to think about a specific topic is up to you, but you need to have that ability, that opportunity to come together and be a part of that kind of conversation. And so, and the Humanities Nebraska staff, Kristi, Hayek, Carley, our program manager for a number of different programs, has really been kind of a key linchpin on a lot of this kind of work, whether it be community conversations in a local community to maybe more of a statewide program, and projects like Capital Forum on America's Future. And so I'd love to turn it over to Kristi, as more the expert in that area, to kind of talk about Capital Forum and answer any questions. So please take it away, Kristi.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction. And, I think especially teachers, and that my background, as we mentioned in the bio, is more on the secondary side of things, so the high school age, and I know that having been in the classroom, a lot of times there are opportunities to discuss some controversial topics and that, and we at Humanities Nebraska want to be able to be a resource for teachers. As Chris mentioned, one of the programs that we have been doing as part of our program portfolio has been the Capital Forum on America's Future. And this is entering its 25th year. It's kind of hard to believe. And it has some of the similar, some of the same structure to it as it had 25 years ago. But as we know, our world has changed drastically over that 25 years. And it's been interesting to see how the structure of this program has been able to withstand the test of time. But it also, we've done a lot of work to work with teachers and tweak it here and there to make it continue to be relevant and adaptive to the changing classroom that is in our world today. And we have, you know, a lot of great educators that have given us a lot of great advice over the years. And so we value that greatly. And so this program, yes, is run by us, and we work with in partnership with the Nebraska Secretary of State's office in order to conduct the program. But it's really a teacher's program, and we make it open enough for, you know, where we provide the structure, but the teachers are really our ambassadors and our leaders within the program, and do a lot of the work and the heavy lifting when it comes to that. We utilize curriculum from the Choices program at Brown University. And I think probably the most important thing to say about that curriculum is that it's you can adapt it within your classroom so that it can be the sole curriculum in your, you know, as you cover a particular topic, but it also has a great model within it and some resources and that within it that you can kind of pull out of that curriculum and insert it into your day-to-day discussions, and that, so it's really adaptable for our teachers. The other thing about Choices is that they do a lot of work to make sure that the curriculum stays up to date. And I know that, you know, sometimes textbooks and that sometimes can't keep up with what's going on in the world. In the Choices program, they do a great job at providing updates on a pretty regular basis. Sometimes for me and my teachers within the Capital Forum program, it's almost like too fast sometimes, like, oh, we just got used to this format or something. And then all of a sudden, you know, they've adapted once again to it. But the other thing is that they supplement the curriculum when they can't update the entire unit. They will supplement it with some, you know, I think they call it teaching in the news or something like that. So where they can adapt a particular item that's going on in the world, they'll usually have some kind of talking points or structure to bring with you into your classroom within a day or two, which is amazing. They're just, and the other thing about them is that they're balanced. They do a lot of work to make sure that they're presenting a lot of varying points of view and have resources to back that up. So it's an excellent program that we've been very pleased with. Capital Forum for us is primarily a program for high school social studies teachers. Although we've had some English teachers join us, we've had some economics teachers, we've had other world studies type teachers, speech teacher, I know utilized our curriculum before, and then, you know, they take that and utilize that with their students. Sometimes it's a standalone class, so we have, you know, maybe more of a kind of current issues class or something where that's their sole curriculum is the Capital Forum curriculum. Some of them they insert portions, and then some of them meet with students in more of a club format, depending on the situation in their particular schools. And so it's, again, that speaks to the adaptability for that. Core to this program is that spirit of discussing and deliberating complex issues. We're not debating, we're not scoring points, we're wanting to have an open conversation about complex issues. And I think that that's something that's often missing in a lot of what we hear, is that openness to try to understand the complexity of things and then work with that within your own value system, but also understanding that other people have a different point of view as well. We, of course, stress that it strengthens critical thinking skills. You have to have you have to be able to understand other people's viewpoints in order to sometimes better understand your own. We want to look at these controversial topics and handle them in a respectful and civil manner. So that's an important component. In a lot of these cases, you're talking with your peers, and we all come to the table with differing values, differing levels of knowledge sometimes on a particular topic. And I think that that's where this really helps a lot of our students gain a little bit more knowledge in a balanced approach. Kind of core to our program is this question of what is the U.S. role in a changing world? And that's really what we tackle. That's the question that has been central for 25 years. And as we all know, that question, the answer to that has changed drastically at times, and how we, how different leadership handles that same question, how the public opinion has been regarding different situations that have occurred in that time. We use 5 key topic areas in order to study that, or to tease that out and explore that further. Climate change, nuclear proliferation, immigration, terrorism, and trade are our core topics. Certainly lots of complex issues within each and every one of those, and offers for us a great structure in order to have a productive conversation. In addition to those core topics, the choices model encourages further exploration because it charges the students to deliberate and wrestle with 4 options of foreign policy, all of which have some limitations to them. None of them are perfect. None of them are going to fit everyone. And so we force them in some respects within this choices model to really wrestle with the pros and cons of things, how that affects different groups within our country, within our world. And then, again, getting at that study of complexity and seeing that, one point of view might impact another group in a different way than what we perceive initially. We provide opportunities for the teachers to come together to prepare for the culminating activity, which is Capitol Forum Day, which is held in March, and also to hear from subject area experts in one of these topics. Typically, we get together towards the beginning of the second semester and invite somebody from the field. We've had somebody from the Omaha office of the FBI come and talk to our teachers about terrorism. We've had folks from the Center for Afghan Studies talk to our teachers about this situation in Afghanistan. We've had an immigration lawyer talk to our teachers about elements of border policy and things like that. So we try to kind of rotate through those, but we also want to be relevant as well. Because of COVID, we couldn't meet with our teachers ahead of time before Capitol Forum Day. So we had some scholars from UNL come to Capitol Forum Day and talk to our teachers about the situation in Ukraine. That was in March. The invasion had just happened a few weeks prior. And so we try to keep as up to date as we can with those kinds of things. In their classrooms, then teachers utilize that choices content. Like I said, each teacher handles it a little differently, but they prepare a small delegation of students to come then to Lincoln to deliberate with their peers from throughout the state. And those students then report back to their classmates. And then a lot of times they'll be charged with also developing an option 5. Like I mentioned, those 4 options are imperfect, that we kind of structure a lot of our deliberations around. And so we ask them to, hey, come up with maybe a better solution a better policy perspective that might then better encapsulate your views, your class's viewpoints, and beliefs. While at Capitol Forum Day, we also have the opportunity for the students to interact with elected officials. So we invite state senators to come and join us for lunch. We have a Q&A session with members of the congressional delegation, all for our students to get this idea that we're not just talking about abstract concepts and that, but we're also wanting to connect them with their elected officials that actually deal with those particular issues and problems. We at Humanities Nebraska also try our best to limit barriers for schools to participate. So we provide the curriculum from Choices. We cover all the travel costs associated with participation, whether that's lodging, mileage, substitute teacher costs. And we know substitute teachers are super important. They've always been important, but COVID has really highlighted how important they are to the overall education system. We cover lunch at the different events, those kinds of things. We do have a video on our website and at humanitiesnebraska.org that highlights kind of how the discussions go at Capitol Forum Day. And so we invite you certainly to check that out. And we also have a registration form there if you are so inclined to want to come and join us. We try to keep our numbers in the 20 to 25 range as far as schools participating, but we also like to make sure that we have a variety of schools geographically speaking across the state of Nebraska, but also size-wise within the state of Nebraska. So we have some very, very small schools. We have very large schools represented, and schools from Chadron to Falls City and everywhere in between. So we really think that provides us with a lot of voices at Capitol Forum Day and a lot of perspectives to keep that conversation going and to open students' minds to different perspectives that way. I think that's about it as far as my spiel on Capitol Forum, and we have the registration still open right now, and I'm happy to answer any questions that viewers might have about that as well. You can find me at on Humanities Nebraska page, and my email is there. So,
Kristi,
yeah,
could you speak a little bit, if Alicia and Stephanie are okay with time wise? So you mentioned that the students are kind of assigned different perspectives, and there's a little bit of discomfort of where they have to be able to take a position that they may not personally agree with during parts of the Capitol Forum Day. But I've also, we've both observed the teachers leading in the different rooms throughout the day on the different topics, discussions with small groups of students about these issues. And like you said, there's students from all across the state who don't really know each other, and they come from different backgrounds. And, the one issue that I think, if there's an issue that pops up where there's some maybe tough discussion happening sometime that the students respond to, it's often like immigration.
Mm-hmm.
But this past year, I did not observe I observed a lot of respect and listening of all the students to each other, whether they were from Omaha or a small town somewhere. But I'm just wondering if you have anything to say about how the students, if you take immigration, for example, and there are kids who are immigrants themselves in that room next to some kid who's maybe never met an immigrant student,
Mm-hmm.
How does that go, and how do the teachers handle it if there's any kind of tense interaction there?
Well, and that's a great point, because we do often have that very situation happen. Nebraska's welcomed lots of different immigrant groups throughout its history. We have students that have that come from those backgrounds as well, even now. And I think our teachers really do an excellent job at again modeling that choices approach, that deliberation approach, where we can listen to each other and perhaps not even agree, but there is I think an opportunity where I think our teachers do an excellent job at facilitating those conversations and finding good opportunities to go back to the content. A lot of times the personal stories certainly are powerful, and it helps bring the human element to it. But I think they've always done a really great job, and it just shows the quality of educators in the state of Nebraska as well, that they stick to their training a lot of the times as far as how to facilitate a good discussion. And also, again, we're not trying to score points ever when it comes to this topic. And so, or whatever topic it is, we just want to inform each other of the different perspectives and use those personal stories to certainly provide background, but at the same time, our teachers are always trying the best to connect the personal with the content in a way that's respectful. And also, I think a lot of times, especially in immigration, we utilize a lot of history within the curriculum unit itself to talk about the immigration history of the United States and ground it in those facts and those ideas.
Great, thanks. I thought that was an important point to kind of touch on. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. I had a couple come up through the chat, if that's okay, Kristi. One of them is, what resources are available if teachers want to present this to their administrators? Because I'm guessing a lot of them need administrative approval before they participate in the program. Could you kind of walk through that part of the process?
So we kind of handle that a lot of times on more of a case by case situation, because every administrator is a little different and every school district's a little different as to how they handle it. We do our best to provide samples of the curriculum pieces if so requested. We have a nice flyer or something that kind of outlines some of those things. I'm going to be working some on connecting or revising our connections to standards and that kind of thing. But this program has been rooted throughout its history in the state and even some federal standards as well. And so it's just a matter of updating those kinds of things and identifying some of those elements. And I think also too, it really helps our teachers, if they're bringing that to their administrators, to really stress the points where we're trying to make this easy for everybody to participate in the way in which that they can. We're not going to stipulate that you have to teach the Choices program completely within the classroom. We talk a little bit more about how it's a model with as far as structuring that deliberation and those kinds of things, but also the thanks to generous donations and funders and that for this program, we're able to make it so that any school should be able to find a way to participate because it's not going to cost them to do that. It's going to be, I think we try to make it an easy choice for a lot of our administrators and that, so that, they realize that they're not going to have to, pay for the curriculum. They're not going to have to cover that super or substitute teacher cost. We're covering the travel, those kinds of things, so that any teacher can bring their students here without a barrier of finances.
That's truly amazing and really unique, I would say, in a lot of ways that you provide transportation, food, lodging, you know what I mean, and also substitute teacher costs. So thank you so much. I mean, how lucky are these educators and students, right? Fortunate.
We do have a lot of them that come back and keep working with us for multiple years. So I think that's the other piece, is that we make it teacher led, and that, I mean, I certainly am involved in, you know, hey, there's this question, maybe we should think about addressing it. But you know, the teachers are the ones that have taken a lot of the initiative to find the solutions in order to adjust the program to fit what their needs are. And what their students' needs are. And I think that's another component that's really great, that we stress to administrators as well, is that it's not us telling them exactly how they have to do things, but rather we're providing the model and the structure. But your teachers have a lot of say in how we do what it is we do.
That's absolutely fantastic. I have a couple more questions, sorry, that are popping up. So another one is this a local version of a national program or unique to Nebraska?
So it started out as a multi-state initiative. I think at the, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 12 states were doing these same things. And when it began, you know, we are currently the only one that has stuck with it, but I think that's partially because of our adaptations, and that it's viable for us and it's viable for our teachers, and you know, and there's every organization, every entity has different priorities and different elements that they have to address. We've valued this program very highly and have made it stay relevant, I think, for the last 25 years, that it makes sense to continue doing it.
I'll just add to that. I feel like a state like Nebraska, it's a little bit easier to build relationships with people in a relatively small population state. You know, I mean, of course it has its challenges, but I think in a really big state population wise, something like this could easily just get swallowed up and lost in the mix. And, you know, we've really been able to build relationships throughout the state with the elected officials, with the teachers, with everybody, you know, that have been involved.
That's amazing, honestly. Sorry, I'm reading a few more questions coming in. I want to make sure we get all of them. Another one that came up is, do you have any advice? You mentioned that the programming is really flexible. Some teachers make it into what's considered an entire focus class, like current issues, right? Some do it just here and there, perhaps even in an English class, right? Or social studies class. And some actually have a club after school if they're unable to fit it in their curriculum. Yep. I apologize. I took the risk for the outdoor office today, so I hope there's not too much background noise. But what do you think is a preferable method, or do you think they all three work pretty well? What have you seen? That's the summarization that I had of the question through chat.
You know, of course, I think it a lot of times has depended on the teacher and what works best for them. And that, but you know, I think either any of those options has worked out very well, because I think, and Chris can back me up on this one, but the students come to Capitol Forum Day always so well prepared and ready to tackle these issues. And you know, I think part of that is the spirit in which it's set up within their classrooms, that, you know, we're not going to be trying to score points and that or just deal in sound bites and those sorts of things, but we're rather going to, you know, look at these issues in a very respectful and civil way. You know, I'm sure that you know, I would say that the classroom model where it is kind of the sole focus, of course, would probably be the easiest, but we've had a lot of success in those other venues as well. And you wouldn't know the difference among the students that come to Capitol Forum Day as to, that, oh, well, that one's from the club, the school that has the club. Okay, well, that makes some sense. No, I mean, you can't tell the difference. And I think that speaks volumes about how well our teachers prepare the students there. Even with that, a lot of times in the evaluations, the students are like, gosh, I wish I would have prepared even a little bit more because, in their breakout session or something, they came across someone else that knew a little bit more than they did or something like that. So it's always kind of fun to see that these well-prepared students want to learn more and want to be more prepared than they were.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions at this time in the chat, but would you like to add anything else before we conclude this Zoom?
I don't know that I have anything to offer more. I mean, again, we're open to discussing or, chatting with teachers, and that even in this kind of registration phase or whatever. And I'm working with the teachers throughout the year. We have lead teachers that help with the kind of the classroom questions and that, like, how do I handle this, or how do I present this? And so it's not necessarily always coming from me. I handle more of the, hey, you got to have this form in by this time and those sorts of things. And I kind of stay out of the how you do it sometimes with our teachers, because even though I have a background in education, it's been now quite some time since I was actively in the classroom. And so, I think that's the other piece of that, is that we want to make sure that we're always in tune with the needs of our teachers. And, I think too that, while Chris mentioned about Humanities Nebraska and how the humanities are so central to what our society needs today, Capitol Forum is really one of those that has, as we've said, stood the test of time. And, no more, or more so now than ever, that we have to talk about things and come into the room with different perspectives and be okay with the fact that people have different points of view, but learn something from them and understand that this world is complex and the issues are complex, and there's probably not an easy yes or no answer to any of this.
Unfortunately, right?
Right.
No, honestly, I think that's an amazing opportunity for them to view the complexity. And I just wanted to say, on behalf of the Malika Foundation and Nebly, we have seen you support educators and students throughout our state for so much time in so many capacities. And we know that you're a champion for teachers every single day. I know you sponsored a program for the Malika Foundation during 2020 that was specifically for teacher well-being and health. So thank you for everything that you do and for keeping your mission focused on what's truly valuable in our state for those you serve. So thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. We're very grateful for your time today, for what you offer educators and students throughout the state and other communities as well. If you go to Humanities Nebraska, you'll see that it's not just educators and students, but many different groups throughout the state. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Alicia and Stephanie and everybody at Malika Foundation for the work you do. And I know Kristi feels the same way. We are always looking to evolve and improve our programming, staying true to the mission, but in ways that work for our partners, including the teachers. So we welcome any outreach from you and teachers about how we can, better meet the needs of the classroom as those needs evolve to the changing times. So stay in touch with us, please.